Hey everybody, Asher here, back with more Kerbal Space Program, and version 1.0.4 is out. This is the first recording I've done since then. It did not actually break my mods. So we still have the same skybox, we still have the same city clouds and lights. It's all very good and exciting, but of course what's not exciting is what happened last mission. Which, for those of you who may not quite remember, pretty much everything that could go wrong with Eve did in fact go wrong with Eve. As look at all of just these good things that we would love to try and do. We have a mission that went to Gilly and could get slingshot out by Gilly. We have a probe that didn't quite go around there. At least we have someone landed on EVA. That's Alvy. But otherwise, we have a few asteroids that are kind of coming by, but I'm going to save those for the next mission because you know what? With the Space Center floundering, with the need to actually have a rescue mission go to Eve, the very first thing that we are going to do, and you can see we do have another Kerbal to actually pick up here, but the very first thing we're going to do is go back to the Behemoth, and we are going to talk about bringing the boys and girls, the ones that are on this station, back home, and then have a relief mission for Duna to come here and pick up people that are on the landing station, and pick up people, including Jeb, that are on the Ike station. So let's go ahead and get started with that. So here's the Behemoth flying one more time. The Behemoth actually being a very successful mission, I would say, in that we had everybody actually return back. We have something from the surface of Duna. I almost said Eve. We've been on Eve on the brain for a while. We actually have an orbital science station that has in fact been getting us a bunch of science. We actually got some surface science for a contract here. Like, we have 2 science right here right now, but it's getting a very good rate per day. So what we're going to be doing, in fact, is time accelerating a bit. We're not going to do it from here. We're going to do it from the from just somewhere else that we're not constantly having to slow down while we're in low orbit. Because once again, we have some time before the Duna transfer window back to Kerbin. And because Kerbin is going around the sun faster than Duna, and from the looks of it here as well, Duna does not have a perfectly circular orbit around Kerbal, which is kind of analogous to Mars, which has very different seasons as a result of that. But all we're going to be doing is just trying to fly back to Kerbin today, and we're going to be doing some special things, and that's the reason I wanted to bring up, not that yet, wrong button, bring up this ship first, because this ship is not entirely designed to land on Kerbin by itself, although I could potentially repack these parachutes, which is interesting. These parachutes have actually had their parameters changed since the patch, so I'm not quite sure how this is going to work out for us. But we're going to make do with what we have. And we're going to send these guys back to Kerbin because you know what? If we can save 4 astronauts, that's a start. We can send out relief missions as needed eventually. Like I said, the next Kerbin to Duna window may actually kind of intersect with when these people come back, and in that case we may just have to go ahead and get the relief mission together as a drone ship to bring back and see if we can get these other Kerbals home. So this may be a little bit of live commentary and a little bit of post commentary, but that's just how it's going to be. So let's go ahead and go back to the window. Now from the observation station, and we're not going to be dealing with Dres just yet. I'll do that next time. But for now we're just going to be trying to warp to this one alarm. And we're not going to edit it at all, so we need to unclick that there. And all you can do, fortunately, from the observation station is just max out your time. And this is going to give us a lot more science and everything from all these things. But the more important thing is that we have some objects that are tracking. More importantly, as well, we have Kerbin, which is going to be coming here just a few 100 or so more days. Notice we have some other missions flying out as well. We have our Elo Traveler that is slowly going to Elu. We have our Joule drone station, which will have an encounter with Joule but will not reach orbit, which is very unfortunate. But that's kind of the way it goes. So I guess Jebediah and all them, they're going to have to just be content on Ike because we didn't have the technology to get refueling stuff. But definitely the next mission we send over there, we will have refueling available. So let's go ahead and get this down to 2 days. 1 day, let's get down to just like an hour or so. And we're going to fly again because this is the phase angle that you want. And eventually we'll be slingshotting back here. And it looks like our next Kerbin to Duna window will be before our remaining ship gets back. So we get to do a little bit of a relief mission here, and our Eve to Kerbin window, that's going to be a little depressing because we have If we just have our Eve mission leave, that's like, okay, guys, see you later. We'll bring a rescue. And they may not even be able to make it home on the fuel that they have. So, for now, let's focus on Duna, because that's the most likely to succeed. This is your behemoth. Remember when all of our missions were going well and everything, and now here we are. So, same as it ever was, we do want to have is, look, we can actually see our little things in the distance, and there is Jewel, not where we want it to be right now. Yeah, all we do is set Kerbin as a target. And we're just going to do the same maneuver node thing we did before. Now, unfortunately, because our orbit is pretty elliptical, this is going to, you know, it might work out okay. Unfortunately, you know what, it's actually not. If only because if we exit like this, we go this way, firing off the prograde angle. If we want to fly out further, like if we wanted to do a mission to Jewel from Duna, we could do that. What we really want to do, and this is, see how much more energy this is going to take because we're further out here. If we fly like this, it's not going to take a ton of delta V to get us back in, but it's going to take some. Alright. 500, 600... Eesh. I guess the first step is going to be, let's zoom all the way in, because this is the fun with maneuver nodes. I may need to circularize my orbit. In fact, that's gonna take up some precious fuel resources. But a return to Kerbin is not as easy as it looks. Let's see. Do we have an encounter from anywhere here? We got something resembling an encounter. We're not too far. So, and I still wish, even from all the alpha, all the beta, I still wish that this was something we could get fixed. Alright, so if we go like this, we just bring it a little bit closer. Just a little bit more. There we go. There's the encounter we want. There, right around there. So we don't have to have a perfect encounter, we just have to have a encounter. Alright, and our maneuver node is within 19 minutes. So how close are we? 70 million meters. Okay, if we accelerate just a little bit more. So we got some mid-course adjustments that we can make. We can get that down to 28. We go back up to 64. Once again, I can do the thing where I can just focus on Kerbin a little bit. Well, unfortunately, I had to focus on Kerbin. I'm going to have to actually click on it. There we go. Whoops. Look, I just clicked on Skytown Fun Park. That is not at all what I wanted to do. Well, hey, you know what? That's the fun of live commentary. Hey, Beanie, we don't have anybody working the science on this thing right now, so we don't have any science really to give. Still fun. Let's go back to the behemoth. And fly, because double clicking to switch to is a thing. But still, 800 meters per second. We should have the fuel for that. Problem number one is that we don't have a lot of electric charge right now. So let's stop research for a second. We do have plenty of data. We do have plenty of science available, and it looks like we may have some experiments stored in here too that we can add as data. Of course, that's going to take precious electricity, which we don't have a ton of here right now. But still, it's going to be a good idea to do this just for the ride home. So maybe we'll do all that transfer once we are in flight. Once again, I'm hitting the wrong button here, so we'll just keep data. Space high over the sun, interesting. Let's keep that. Yeah, these are such old experiments. Alright, wow, all of our over the sun and then steady well into space high over Duna. Yeah, interesting. Pressure scan high over Duna. And some of these things have already been processed, so we'll make that work. Alright, let's try again the whole actual focus on the planet instead of switching to whatever mission's going around there. So focus view. Okay, first off, can I actually get my maneuver node thing up and running? That's the first thing that I want. Yeah, this is the exciting part of Kerbal Space Program, just maneuver node management. 17 minutes till burn time. Alright. Okay, so with our maneuver node, okay, we can't do that and that at the same time. We'll just BS it. How about that? Does that sound like a good plan to you all? I think it sounds like a glorious plan to me. So let's go ahead and focus our view back in. We're gonna have to, okay, our engines are on. We've just got to get the RCS thing to actually move. I could do best practice and move the Duna lander, which used to be so much larger, and pop it on back here, but that's not what we're going to be doing today. We are just instead going to be trying to do one burn to get us out of here. Can't believe it, after all this time, we're actually sending Kerbals back home. We actually have a contract that they sound very depressed or distressed like. You guys have things that went to Ike and they're not coming back. Well, this ship did a flyby of Ike, so that will satisfy that contract. Alright, so 2 minutes and 37 seconds estimated burn. Sounds good to me. Let's go ahead and time accelerate. We don't have to get it perfect, but we do want to get it on the node, or else we're really going to screw this up. And it wouldn't be me playing Kerbal Space Program if I didn't really screw this up, right? So here we go. Once again, not the best gravity assist from here. We don't want to be exiting out from the apoapsis, but we've got enough spare fuel. We actually are carrying a boatload of oxidizer too, which is too bad that we can't shift and change that. We have a lot of liquid fuel up here too if we need a second fuel reserve. But I'm pretty sure this one burn will be enough. Pretty sure it will be enough. So all we need to do is burn at about 145, which we just... Well, no, not 145. 115. We didn't pass it. Hooray. So we have 3 nuclear engines instead of 4, and we're going to be burning for about 2 minutes. You can sit back, relax, and enjoy. Fortunately, we're not lagging all to hell, even though I'm recording right now. I should be recording right now. If I'm not recording right now, I'm going to be a little sad. But let's fire the engines. And let's slowly watch that melt down. So we're not going to be doing a full acceleration burn or anything. Now, the 1.0.4 update and 1.0.3 brought all kinds of new little goodies, such as radiators, to let you control where your heat kind of flows around. It also changed the atmospheric model in a few ways. We'll see how that plays out. The important thing right now is that we're doing some pushing instead of dragging, and I hope that's not offending the sensibilities of the ship too much. But at least right now we should be ever so slowly making our exit out here. Like I said, the best practice would have definitely been to have the be burning from the periapsis to get the most off of our shove away from Duna. But considering Ike loves to play catcher to everything that's around here, you can't always control what's there. But we still got to burn. From the looks of it, we're going to be just fine on fuel. Unless, of course, we are not. Let's go ahead and even crank this up a little bit. So we're back up to maximum electrical charge. That'll be one nice thing about getting closer to the sun, is that the electrical charge is now going to be a good thing. So we should be good on fuel. And if we don't get a perfect encounter with Kerbin, and the least that we can do, as like I said, the aero capture for this is going to be really, really interesting. That's for certain. Maybe the new atmospheric model will actually wreck this ship. I don't know. I guess we'll find out soon enough, won't we? Because I have not test flown anything in the new atmosphere yet. But I guess my goal in that case would probably be... These, first off, I would have liked these to be heat shields instead of nose cones. But we can plop this part on the back. So look at everybody else who are leaving behind. Bye-bye. We are leaving 4 Kerbals to, I guess, repopulate Mars. Not Mars, but Duna. And here is our flight trajectory back out. We are slowly but surely making our encounter. Once again, we're encountering kind of up here instead of the ideal over here. But the important thing, once again, is, hey, at least we got an encounter, right? So that's going to be, I guess, part 1 of all of this, because we got 238 days. Our next window from Kerbin to Duna is probably going to just interesting, we have another ELO window too, but that's because Kerbin rotates a lot faster than some of these things on the outside. I'm curious what the Duna window is after this one. It's probably a little bit longer. But I'd like to send something to at least start considering rescuing and pulling off the remainder of my crew from these ships. Especially now that we can get things that can refuel. Duna is not that arduous to launch off of. But right now, just look at our ship again. Still got a healthy amount of liquid fuel. Like I said, we still got some in these tanks as well. Like this little sip here, about 160 or 140 for each tank. 130 actually. No, way more than that. Regardless, the amount that is in there, which is 180 per these, will be more than enough fuel to make the rest of the way here, but we may not even need it as we're at. We already got an encounter. Look at that! Look at that! We didn't even need to do something else, and we actually got a pretty decent encounter too. We're not going to burn any more from here because, look at this. This may go later, like 269 days versus 232, but those extra days, as we are just perfectly just about on the other side of the sun here, that'll give us some that decrease in speed is going to be so valuable. So we got about a year before these guys come back. That does mean we are going to need to not only get these guys going, and let's go and turn back on the science lab because there's going to be even more science to be had. Let's start it again. And we may as well transmit the science as well because we got a lot of science that we can use at the Space Center, although I don't really want to concern myself too much with that until later on. But we got another window to consider, and in that window we're going to be sending our next mission to Duna, which is in fact a rescue mission, as we see this going up and this gradually spiking down. And then I'm not sure if we have another solid Kerbin to Eve window, but our Eve to Kerbin window is coming up, and we're going to have to maybe send some people back for that, reevaluate the crew, see who needs to be fired, hint, it's probably me, and then figure out from there what we're doing. But still, successful burn on the front end. I'm going to just go ahead and jump ahead to the next segment of this mission, which is what are we launching back to Duna, and when we launch things back to Duna, that'll be about 77 days in the future. So how cool is that? We got even more science. Maybe we can build something a little more special. But let's go ahead and hop back to the Space Center. So we've got two things that we are launching to Duna right now, and one of them is going to be this rescue vessel. Hopefully it's a rescue vessel. It's also going to double up as a space station that'll hold 1,000 units of ore in it to get another contract taken out there. So this currently has nobody in it. It's unmanned. And this is also my first test just to see what the lift capabilities are for this unit over here. I have a feeling that this may not be enough to get it into orbit, but maybe it will. Maybe I will need to put some stuff on the side, but we're at least going to test and see, and if it doesn't work, well, we've already polluted the water enough already with this, so let's go ahead and launch. Alright, and we are about to fly, and we are lifting off. Okay, so that doesn't have a ton of thrust right here. This is my first time using these big old engines. So this is pretty heavy. This is definitely not going to make it to orbit, unfortunately. So, because the drone bots and everything are right here, yeah, let's just go ahead and see. We are in no way, shape, or form escaping the atmosphere. Okay, so nothing says bigger quite like having more engines. So we're going to have to see if this is going to be enough for the thrust to weight ratio to make something happen. I don't want to necessarily do too much, but I did want to just try some bigger rockets to see if this worked. These may not even be enough, really. So we'll find out. Let's just go ahead. We're not doing a ton with aerodynamics, and these nose cones are no longer big enough to fit on these big tanks. So we'll have to figure that out too. But let's go ahead and see if we can fly this one again. So other than getting my staging correct, let's see how this flies. I've already had some derp screw-ups here in the past, and we're just going to launch this and see where it goes. There we go, into the sky. And I think for some reason it got reoriented, oddly enough, because it was originally launching in another direction. But we'll just make sure we don't go too fast into the lower atmosphere too early. We'll go ahead and turn as well, fairly nimble. If I have to relaunch this, I definitely got to return things. So there's some crazy slowdown. That is new. It is not the Kerbal Space Program that I remember from before. So we're going to see if I just over gravity turn this. From the looks of it, I did. Yeah, definitely some weird performance issues. But since we're doing this live, we'll have to just see if we can figure it out. Very, very, a little too aggressive on the gravity turn even. But yeah, it's not because I'm recording. This is the first time I've flown a craft quite like this. So we'll see if this keeps us lifted up. We'll see if we can even get into a circular orbit with this right here. Or if things are just going to go pretty terribly, which is always on the menu because it's Kerbal Space Program. Still using a lot of fuel just to get out, just to burn out the lower atmosphere. Because this thing's pretty heavy, but all I need to do is to get it into orbit, and then I can refuel at my heart's leisure. But yeah, definitely not used to this kind of slowdown in the lower atmosphere. Well, I've been running into some odd performance issues with this launch, so we'll see if we can repeat the slowdown that we had before. Let's go ahead and see how it flies, because I don't want to go too fast in the lower atmosphere, but I don't want to just do nothing either. Now I'm taking a little bit of a risk not having a massive nose cone up here, but right now we're just going to throttle it down just a little bit. We'll start our gravity turn a little later. And I really like to have my engines firing up and at them a little bit faster, but right now it seems like this may not even be enough, because they did do some aerodynamic remodeling for the latest patch. But I'm not quite sure how it's going to affect things other than re-entry. I haven't had too much of a chance to test. And this is me just trying to do new launch systems. So the idea is that this rescuer is going to be the main ship, and then there's going to be one ship behind it that can land on Duna and can land on whatchamacallit, Ike, and refuel to get back. Fortunately, getting out of either doesn't take... Well, we have the technology, let's put it like that. So 300 meters per second, we may be able to get into orbit with this. It depends on how much this one engine can pull on its own, because it's not actually as effective, it's not as efficient as a Rockamax, as weird as that sounds. But we do have some little winglets here now, so hopefully we don't go careening into oblivion. So I've just got to keep it kind of under control. We're at 20,000 meters. Doing a pretty good job punching through the sky. So yeah, I just got some weird slowdown the last time I launched, and for some reason, oh, and I'm not getting it now. Maybe because I launched a little too fast and got into sonic effects or something. But those hadn't given me problems in the past, as you have well seen from some of my recordings here. So let's go ahead and look at this again. Alright, now we're going into orbital, and what do we got for that? Not too much else. Like I said, it's pretty much just going to be a sort of standard launch mission to Duna, where there's no guarantee we actually make it into orbit with this setup right here, to be honest. In fact, I may need to add even more boosters just to get up, and if that's the case, you know what? I guess we're just going to have to deal with it. Yeah, it seems like that's exactly what's going to happen, because this is all these boosters right here, only 90,000 meters. That's not great. In fact, I think that's just going to be money out of the bank. But I mean, if I let this go, then we just run into the other issue before of what's going to happen when we have to burn really hard to get into orbit. We've already seen this happen with this kind of launch and everything. So we'll give it a shot. That's 1,000 some delta V. I don't think all the nuclear engines are going to be able to get that done. So I need to add even more boosters. But this video's run a little bit long, so we'll pick up next time. This is Asher, who's trying to send something to Duna, and we don't have a very long time before our launch return window here, or at least we do have some time, so I can figure it out just a little bit here. But like I said, this rescue mission needs to go at around the same time as the other mission, which is currently on the return. We zoom all the way out here. We should be able just to look and see one more time. Focus view, and there is one ship that should be leaving the sphere of influence. There we go. So there goes the Duna Behemoth, far, far away. But hey, that's it for now. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. I'll see you next time where we can continue to see if we can clean up the mess that I made the last few episodes. Take care.